Welcome. It's so nice to see everyone this afternoon. Again, welcome to the Rotary Club of Akron. We are part of a team of 1.4 million passionate individuals in 46,000 plus clubs around our glorious world. We are both an international organization and a local community leader. Together, we lead change in our own backyards and across the world. At this time, I would like to invite Connor up to do the invocation, please.
Groans are audible. I said the groans are audible. I know, I get grief from my table. I know. Heard Dan up here too. He was groaning. I know. All right. I'm filling in for Katie Miller. All right. You don't see a lot of me anymore now that I'm, in my current role. So it's Giving Tuesday. I'm going to be reading a prayer, which will keep it briefer. I know you guys can all cheer. Yes, thank you. All right. So, but in honor of Giving Tuesday, I just thought I'd read this fitting prayer. So it goes, "Oh God, the season of waiting has begun. We wait with gratitude for the gift of love at Christmas. As we strive to find gifts to express our appreciation for those who make our world and lives better, may our gifts have more meaning. May our gifts share your vision of love in the world. Giving Tuesday is our opportunity to look beyond the sales flyers and promotional emails and see a new way forward, a way for healing and connection. We live in a world of consuming, a world where the person with the most toys wins, and yet you offer us a way filled with grace. On this Giving Tuesday, help us give freely from the heart. We pray that our gifts will bring hope to the lost, peace to the hungry, love to the lonely, and joy everlasting. A way where each of us has a piece of your heart to share with others. A way where we do not win until we give, and in giving, our hearts are filled. Oh God, may we be able to joyfully share our gifts with many, with the vision of a better tomorrow, knowing that when we do so, we become like the Magi of old, offering our gifts to the refugee child, the child living on the margins, a child born in a stable in Bethlehem. Amen."
Thank you, Connor, so much. We now will say the pledge to our flag, followed by the four-way test, which is to my left, your right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our four-way test. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you so much, and you may be seated. Sandy Naraban has our list of very special guests today.
We have two guests. One is our speaker, who you will meet further in a little bit, but welcome, Janis Worley. And Father Dean is also our guest today.
Thank you. Father, it's good to have you here today. Would you,
very much.
Father Dean, so you want to say hello to our members just real quick, if you don't mind?
Parish priest through the Annunciation, and I appreciate the invitation to doing well. Thank you.
Again, Father, we hope that you'll join us any Tuesday for lunch. So please be our guest. Following what Connor said, as we all know, today is Giving Tuesday, and as Connor read so beautifully, I in turn have just a very short, some food for thought, as I used to tell my staff when I was a principal in an elementary building a few years ago. So again, food for thought. In these times of uncertainty, there is a fundamental truth that gives us hope, that together, we can do extraordinary things. Over the past 2 years, the entire world has been coming together to stand up, help out, give back, and most importantly, to heal. Whether that's through donations to our community organizations, as here in Rotary, celebrating healthcare professionals, which we need to do, or reaching out to our beloved neighbors in need. Generosity has been helping the entire world get through this global pandemic, and most importantly, together. Please don't forget the together. Oh, with that, we'll move ahead and we will do some quick announcements. David Hall, if you would like to start us off about the food bank. Oh, I always catch you when you got something. I'm sorry.
So, had a successful Akron Food Bank this month, I guess earlier this month. Looking to do December, does fall third Wednesday falls on the 21st, and it's close to the holidays. It kind of makes it just that much more important. So I'm going to be putting out an email tonight. If you're able to join, please let me know. The sooner you can let me know, I guess the better, because if I don't get enough participation, I probably will just cancel and wait for January then. So please look for that email. If you can make it, that'd be great. Again, 21st of December, it's 4:30 to 6:30. And afterwards, then we go to dinner somewhere downtown.
Very good, Dave. Thank you so much. If you recall, in our newsletter, yesterday was the last day to vote for our slate of officers. Karen is not here today, so technically the election closed yesterday, and next Tuesday we will announce our new slate of officers for 23-24. So please make an effort to be here next Tuesday. It's a critical meeting. Chili Open. Let's see who wants to jump up and.
Thank you, Linda.
It's all yours.
Fellow Rotarians, I'm gonna combine this with happy dollars, because I have 5 happy dollars. We have an ask for the Chili Open. We specifically need someone to help with raffle items. So if you're willing to step up and help us sell raffle tickets this year, that's the one big ask we have. But also, in the season of giving, please remember the Chili Open Committee. As you find items are gifted to you that you know you're not going to use, do not put them in your closets. Bring them to us, because we will put them to good use. Also, if you are gifted with a bottle of wine or a bottle of booze, and you know you're not going to drink it, please remember the Chili Open folks. And since Mr. Chili Open is here, do you have anything you'd like to contribute?
Are we doing happy dollars now?
Sure, we can do it.
Oh, then I'm not done doing happy dollars.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Chili Open to be continued. For my next happy dollar, thank you to those who showed up last night to help us. We were only there 2.5 hours, and it could have been a lot longer. And I want everyone to know, if you ever need people to serve on a committee, Sandy and Tom make an excellent team. They were just knocking it out last night. So thank you for everyone who showed up yesterday and contributed in any way. And finally, our friend John Daly turns 95 this Saturday.
95.
If you are so inclined to send him a card, drop by, say hello, anything that you could do to acknowledge his 95th, that would be much appreciated. So God bless John. Is he still at Concordia? He is.
We're doing happy dollars.
Oh, am I doing happy dollars? Is that how it works?
I can do it if you want.
Nobody told me. Connor.
Yeah, I can do it. I don't have one, but I can walk. Do you want to eat? Do you want me to eat? Yeah, okay. Here, I'll collect for you. Yes, no problem. Who's happy?
Okay, there we go.
Right there.
I have a happy dollar for a prayer instead of a sermon.
Oh,
the people that I'm sharing the table with. It's just an honor to have an energetic Rotarian and with charge of the, you know, yes, it's really And Jack, I told him how proud I was to be a member of Akron Rotary last week when they were announcing, you know, all of the gifting that he and Vivian have done at the gala for the district. And Jacinto, who's a father of one of our exchange students, who is overseas, I just want to make an announcement that I will be collecting some happy dollars for Yara for her Christmas presents, and when she's not here, I won't talk when she's here. And I also wanted to just announce that there were 72,000 exchange students recently, and 70,000 of those are the kids that come into the US. 2,000 of them are the Americans going overseas. So we're just really proud to have at least 2 of our kids going overseas, but I need your help so that we can continue to change that imbalance. And so anything and everything you can do to support the exchange, Rotary Exchange, appreciate it.
Susan, isn't the deadline for exchange students the 6th of December?
I'm sorry?
The deadline for applying
Yes.
for a scholarship?
It's the 9th of December for
Ninth.
outbound, and it's March 1st for the short term. So short term would be just the exchange in the summer, and long term would be December the 9th. So
It's like here.
but kids are doing it.
Good,
Kids can do
yeah.
it.
Don't forget to check with Susan if you have a child and it's, what's the age? 16 to?
It's 15 to 18 and a half.
16.
So your child can be 18 and a half going out in August or September, but
Very good. Thank you, Susan. Okay, next up, Mr. Bowie.
Yeah, my first one is for Cynthia, who's going to become part of our club today. And Sunday, of course, was Tuesday musical switch to Sunday. We had the privilege of experiencing the Cerrito Gospel Choir from South Africa, and they were absolutely amazing. And, you know, there's never quite enough beauty in our world, and beauty really is so much the language of God. And I want to share a quote here. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, "Never lose an opportunity of seeing anything beautiful, for beauty is God's handwriting." And I want to say thank you, Cynthia, for being a handwriting teacher in Northeast Ohio. So thank you so much. And then secondly, our friend Catrell Chin was here last week. Next Tuesday at the Civic downtown from 5:30 to 7:30, a very unique experience, which he shared briefly last week, an orchestra, his little orchestra of disabled children playing their musical instruments through a computer, and some members of the Akron Symphony Orchestra. First time ever in the United States of anything coming together like this. And I know it is Giving Tuesday, and they're having their gala event. And so if any of that tugs on your heartstrings, I would say show up, or if you want to give toward that, I know that they would be richly pleased and blessed. So thank you.
Thanks.
Well said, Dan. All right, I'll come back. I'll get my steps in, all right?
So I have $5 because there's only 5. Here's 20 for Yara's Christmas present. I'm happy. My youngest daughter lives in Salt Lake City, was engaged recently. Wedding's next October. A son who works with boys in Columbus.
saw Placento in Columbus, right?
Mhm.
They didn't recognize Placento because of
Santa.
That was kind of funny.
That's right.
But just happy to be here.
I'll work my way back around. Who else? Anyone else happy here? I'm sure people are pressuring you. Miranda, should we open?
There's a couple $2 bill, anybody knows who's on the $2 bill? The president? Jefferson. Yeah, so the first one's for Cynthia, because she thought it was very interesting that any of the Rotarians would have any unopened wine. So she's joining the club, even joining the club today. So she's coming, you'll see shortly, we need no bottle on top. And then the second $1 is for the Chili Open. We had a nice breakthrough for the raffle tickets last week. So the second place prize this year, after the car from Vancouver, will be a $500 party package from Big Shots Golf, which is our new neighbor down south, lower end. They donated last, so they'll be the second place prize. And then this morning, Melvin's Nova Air Control Products is back in at $5,000 for a renewed. So we past Thanksgiving, time to crank it up. Team.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right.
All three happy hours. First one's for just having family home over Thanksgiving. Had two of my kids home. That was a great pleasure. Second one is for, again, the Akron Food Bank. Again, we'll be sending out an email. If you can make it, please let me know. If you can't, please let me know, I guess. And then my third one is for this afternoon at 2 o'clock. USA takes on Iran in the World Cup with a must-win game. So look forward to that.
Yes. Hey, yeah.
Personal note, I can't believe I'm the parent of an 18-year-old. My son turned 18 last week. I remember, I was here, when he was born. So, some years. Remember the little baby Chris?
You're only 36 too, right?
I know, right?
Well, anyone else have, oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. All right, here. Thank you very much. Wow, $20 or do you need change?
No,
No joke, but you need change. All right.
You gotta know, I don't usually carry cash, so get it right.
All right.
I am happy about the buoys having involved me in this organization and for being some of Tuesday Musical's best ambassadors, so thank you. And happy that our Soweto Gospel Choir concert was such a success. More than 1,000 people there. It was just a really wonderful evening, and looking forward to the next concert, which is the Robbie Marsalis Philadelphia Bluegrass, little holiday, little New Orleans, little Philadelphia breath. So anyway, it's a good time to be in Akron with so many great things happening, including with this organization. So thank you. I'm so proud of you with you.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay, my last.
Julie,
No, Dave knows. What?
Anyways, I need to give a shout out to Sandy and the ladies that, or gentlemen, I don't know, who decorated the window down in Kenmore Boulevard. I drove by it last night, it looks fantastic. But this Friday, if you're not doing anything, 6 to 9, they're lighting the boulevard. There'll be all sorts of activities for kids and adults and music concerts and some great things. There was an article yesterday in the Akron Beacon Journal about Buzzbin, which is a very popular Canton location moving up to Kenmore Boulevard. So stop on out and thank you because it really does look very nice. So I hope to see everybody down there.
thank you.
Thank you.
I have $3 happy. One is just kind of, sorry, we take my video.
That's all right. That's all right.
The other two, the other two are actually one of them really wasn't for Kyle.
Wow.
Kids are having a great start to the swim season, so they've got a couple big meets coming up in December, so that's for them. And then this one is for my son. For those of you who know, he still has maintained his first chair of French horn. We talked about musical. First chair of French horn, his concert Thursday. And then this is for his orchestra concert on next Thursday, which is second chair orchestra, or cello. He's moved up from fifth chair. He's been playing the cello for a year and a half now. He's moved up from fifth to second. So his goal is to get first, but he also backs off as soon as he knows the guy that's been playing first has been playing the cello for 10 years. So he's excited. So we got a lot going on in the Miller family.
Thank you.
Very good.
Congratulations.
All right, I think that's it.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. Good job, Connor. Very nice. Just a heads up, Mark Stewart is not able to be here. He has on the website the Red Kettle campaign for the Salvation Army, so please sign up. As of this morning, we still need 2 folks from the 12 to 1 o'clock, 1 person from 1 to 2, 1 person from 5 to 6, and if you work the 5 to 6, you get to work with Dr. Rob. So I just kind of throw that out. And then the 2 more people are needed for the time slot of 6 to 7. So again, please sign up on our website for Mark and our Salvation Army Red Kettle campaign. Thank you to Sandy and Cindy again for the Kenmore Boulevard window decoration event. We had a husband and a father present last night, so we had lots of manpower. So it was a good. So thank you very much for the help last night. It was a good evening. And don't forget, John Daly's birthday is this Saturday, December 3rd. He'll be turning 95. A glorious number. God bless him. So at this time, Mr. Bowie, if you would like to get your inductee to come forward, Cynthia, we'll make this official. I guess over here, so I can read my script.
Don't fall over the cords, that'll be a dramatic
Yeah,
difference.
don't, you know, both sides have cords, so come on over this way so everybody can see your beautiful face. It's so good to have you. Rotary International is a humanitarian service organization that brings together business and professional leaders in order to provide community service, promote integrity, and advance goodwill, peace, and understanding, not just here, but in the world. It is a non-political and non-religious organization, and membership is by invitation. There are over 46,000 member clubs worldwide, with a membership again of 1.4 million individuals in over 200 countries in our world that are known as Rotarians. When one joins Rotary, you become a part of a worldwide fraternity. You can travel throughout most of the world, and you can find a Rotary Club within easy distance. Rotarians will, and I guarantee, welcome you warmly, even though the language may be different and the food unusual and the location far from home. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the idea of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. 2, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of worthiness of all unusual and useful occupations, and the dignifying by each Rotarian of his or her occupation as a quality to serve in our society. 3rd, the application of idea of service by every Rotarian is his or her personal business and community life. 4th, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united again in the ideal of service. I charge you to judge yourself by the Rotary 4-way test of the things that you think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? And third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? You have a lot of information to learn about Rotary.
It's not just a club. It's a way of life. But you were elected by our membership because you believe personally that you fit into this way of life. We ask you, when possible, to attend weekly meetings and always remember the Rotary motto of service above self. So congratulations, Cynthia. Welcome
Linda.
to the Rotary Club of Akron. It's a pleasure to have you. And I would like Steve to do the honor. Yeah, that magnet is.
No, it is a magnet.
It's tough.
Okay, thank you.
So as we say, congratulations, don't step away, you get the microphone.
Okay.
We say to Cynthia, at this very moment, you are the newest Rotarian in the whole world.
And
Congratulations.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, there's probably another one.
Well, we're not there yet. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, everyone. I had the honor of being invited to speak to you several months ago. Oh, actually, maybe it's more than several. It was maybe in May. But at any rate, my name's Cynthia Snyder. I'm from Northeast Ohio originally, started out my career as a newspaper journalist, worked at the University of Akron for 30-some years in media relations, fundraising, a lot having to do with the arts and human services at the university. And then in 2015, I joined Tuesday Musical Association, which has been around for 135 years now. We are an anchor arts organization in Akron presenting mostly classical music concerts, but also world music, as you mentioned, on Sunday with the Soweto Gospel Choir, some jazz. And I think that this organization, which is volunteer-led with a small staff, it really is an important part of our community. We have brought some of the most stellar musicians to our community to share them, and also to do lots of education and community engagement work. It's not just about coming to a concert. It is so much more. As many of us have talked around the table and elsewhere, we know that education, community service is what's going to make this world a better place. And I know you share that sentiment. So I look forward to seeing many of you at our concerts. I look forward to seeing many of you at service events here and at the weekly lunches. I had no idea you had such a spread of food. I should never have eaten breakfast. But at any rate, thank you for welcoming me, and I look forward to getting to know you. Thank you.
Could you also tell them who's coming in April?
Oh.
I wanted to tell you who's coming in April.
I mentioned he is like one of our biggest ambassadors. Itzhak Perlman, who knows who Itzhak Perlman is? He is one of the world's legends, music legends. Violinist, has been dealt with polio his life. He is in a wheelchair, but that has not stopped him from being a touring musician. And in April, he will be here. It's really sort of a historic evening. He's going to be performing with his longtime friend and pianist. They'll be performing, and Itzhak will be talking about his life and career starting in Israel. It's just going to be a really special evening. I think we're going to sell out E.J. Thomas Hall, so if you have any interest in that, please see me. I'll leave some brochures because I'm a shameless, promoter of the organization. But it's really going to be something special, and I hope maybe we see you at Rodney Marsalis Philadelphia Big Brass on December 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good.
We've got some busy times ahead of us. Connor's going to have the wonderful duty of introducing our very special guest speaker today. We're so happy to have her here with us. And Connor?
Thank you. You hear Mr. Daly saying, does this guy think he's part of the program? I've been up here so much today. So I'm going to be quick with this intro just so we get as much time to Janis as possible. But we are just so thrilled to have you here with us and appreciate you taking the time. Just a few highlights, and it was hard to just select a few, but hopefully I don't miss the parts you're most proud of. But Janis was born in Mayfield Heights, attended Wittenberg University in Springfield, receiving a Bachelor of Arts in Business. She then attended Penn State, where she obtained her MBA. She's also attended the executive program for strategic marketing management at Darden, the Graduate School of Business at the University of Virginia, and most recently earned a certificate of excellence in nonprofit leadership and management from Michigan State. She began her career working in Arlington, Texas, in the budgets and operating systems department for Sky Chefs, which was a division of American Airlines. Then after spending nearly 3 years in Texas, Janis returned to Northeast Ohio and began her career at Sherwin-Williams. During her time there, Janis became the executive producer of the HGTV home improvement series Room by Room, where she produced 9 seasons of the series before Sherwin-Williams released its ownership. At that time, Janis started her own media business named Whirlybird Productions. In addition to creating documentaries for PBS as a writer and associate producer, she also produced a local weekly business and economy program for PBS 4549 Neotropolis, and Janis's documentary was recognized with a National Gracie Allen Award for Best Documentary, Local Market, and with a Regional Emmy nomination. So your resume certainly makes me feel like an underachiever, and certainly Janis is involved in many other nonprofit efforts throughout Northeast Ohio. One of a Kind Pet Rescue as Director of Advancement. She's now with First Congregational Church of Akron as its finance and operations manager, and your other volunteer work is extensive. Ronald McDonald House, Akron Pride Festival, Women's Board of Akron Children's Hospital, and several others. So I'll leave it at that just so we can give you as much time as possible. The proud mother of 2 certainly not underachieving children, one obtaining their Masters of Fine Arts at Ohio University, and the other is a nuclear engineer, Grant, and second lieutenant in the U.S. Navy stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and you live with Lee Andrews, your longtime partner in Hudson, Ohio. So thank you so much for being here, Janis. We're thrilled to have you with us.
They forgot your cat.
Oh, I can't.
Banjo.
You forgot a cat.
My toothless cat from West Virginia named Banjo.
That's probably the most important part, I'm sorry.
That's right, you forgot her cat.
That's right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me to join you today. When I was asked to speak, she said, basically, she goes, tell us about your life. She goes, I found it was very interesting. So he gave some of the highlights. I'm going to give some of the background behind some of it, because it is kind of very, very unique career background, let's put it that way. So as you said, I grew up on the east side of Cleveland. My father owned several companion businesses in the machine tool industry. I have an older sister, 2 younger brothers. My dad was a city councilman for 20 years, was very dedicated community volunteer. He also did a lot at the church. My mother had 4 children, so she had a handful, but at the same time, she also was a very strong community volunteer, ran the hospital gift shop, that's how I learned how to do floral arrangements from Mom, because she did floral arrangements for the hospital. So very, very heavily community service oriented childhood with my family. But when it came time to, leave high school, go to college, get that career, in my era, when I graduated, about that time frame, and some of you are in my time frame, when you saw people, they would graduate from college, they would go to, they would join a company. 40 plus years later, they'd be leaving that company with their gold watch, and they've never worked anywhere else. They did whatever that job was, that was their lifetime career. So when I went to college, I was kind of like, that's where my head was. That's where I was going to be going. And so I just needed to figure out what I was going to do. So I started off at Wittenberg University. It's a small liberal arts college, so you can't be real specific in your major, but there's general, so I was a business major.
but I really wanted to go heavily, I really wanted to do marketing. And the main reason why, and I distinctly remember this, because I was thinking at the time, if you do marketing, you never have to do finance and accounting. A little bit naive on my part. I thought those were like completely separate things when I was in college, but I really wanted nothing to do with finance and accounting because I just thought those were awful. And I just really wanted to focus my efforts on marketing. So, when I finally graduated from Wittenberg with my emphasis in marketing, it wasn't really a great time. It was the country was in a kind of a recession at the time. It was really difficult for liberal arts majors to find a job. So I figured, well, I might as well just go get the graduate degree, get it out of the way, and maybe 2 years from now, when I get out of school, I'll have a better shot at getting a job. So that's where I ended up headed to Penn State. And as most, graduate programs do, while I was there, they really encouraged you to get a summer internship because a lot of times those summer internships, turn into full-time jobs when you graduate. So I pursued and was accepted into a summer internship with the Food Service Division of American Airlines. This was like the coolest internship ever, at least I thought so. What you were going to do is you were going to fly all over the country from flight kitchen to flight kitchen, and you were going to audit their food service preparation procedures. I was really into that because at the time, in addition to marketing, I was really developing a love for logistics. So that was kind of, fitting together. And I thought this would be a cool way to spend my summer flying all over the country, got to see the world kind of thing, and, enjoy what I was doing at the same time. So I pack my bags, I fly to Texas, I get to the headquarters, they take me to the HR department and they sit me down and they say, this internship usually goes to an undergrad and you're a graduate student. And so we've been thinking about it and we think we want to do something different. We decided that we think it would be really awesome if you spent the entire summer in our finance and accounting departments, learning our accounting systems, and then when you come, ideally when you graduate, you would come back and you'd be one of our flight kitchen controllers. You'd all be trained already, ready to go, right into a flight kitchen. Well, at that moment, many things were going through my head and most of them not repeatable. I was not very thrilled with that opportunity, but as I quickly considered my options, basically, it's only for 10 weeks. They were paying me. They were going to pay for my apartment and my car. And if I didn't take it, I'd be unemployed. So basically, next thing you know, I'm working in a finance and accounting department against my will. But I did it anyway. But the department I was placed in was the company's, was responsible for the company's annual budget. It was responsible for working with your assigned flight kitchens, and you would work with the controllers, helping them assess their performance against budget. This was what I call back in the dark ages, when you would fly on an airplane and you would get a hot meal. Even if you were only going like 2 hours, you would still get the whole thing with the salad and the dessert, and it was like really awesome. Those are the days when you were allowed to have peanuts on airplanes, when you had to sit on either the smoking or the non-smoking section, back in those days. One of the things that we would do is we'd do a lot of cost simulations. And I know there was actually a newspaper article written about one of them where we determined that if we there was a salad with 3 cherry tomatoes on it. If we took 1 cherry tomato off of it, American Airlines would save $1 million in a year for that 1 cherry tomato. So there was a lot of that kind of work that we would do. Got very good at a 10-key adding machine. So I actually had a very successful summer at Sky Chefs. Went back to Penn State, finished the degree. Sky Chefs did indeed hire me back, not as a flight kitchen controller. I actually went back into the department I came from. I went back as a senior analyst and was excited to be back there with my friends and the other staff. Fast forward about 4 years, a couple promotions later, I found out that, you know, I saw that I was basically being used a lot to train. I trained new controllers, I trained new staff, I'd fly to kitchens, I trained the staff at the kitchens on how to do their jobs. So I was just doing a lot of training. So the HR department had an opening for a trainer. I was like, this is perfect. I can get out of this finance department. I can go and just train full time. So I put my hat in the ring. I said I was going to apply for the job. But then I didn't realize at the time that my boss didn't want me to leave the department. He thought I was his like manager in waiting, because he felt that when his manager got promoted, I'd be the person he could slot into that job. So he basically told the HR department I was not allowed to interview for any other jobs at the company. So basically HR did share that information with me because they had explained to me why I wasn't allowed to interview. And as they say, timing is everything. I walked out of that meeting, walked into my office, my phone was ringing. It was a headhunter asking me if I'd be interested in talking to them about a job in Cleveland with Sherwin-Williams. About a month later, I was moving to Cleveland to work for Sherwin-Williams at their corporate office in Cleveland. I was actually hired to go into their finance and accounting department because that's the only work history that I had up until that point, even though I still wanted that marketing somehow. But I worked in the Sherwin-Williams operating and budget department for the division that produced everything but Sherwin-Williams paint. So it was called the private label division. We did things like Sears Paint, Dutch Boy, Martha Stewart, Menards, Handy Andy, any paint brand that did not say Sherwin-Williams on it was produced by the division I was in. So a few years and some finagling and some well-timed promotions, I began to assist the marketing department with their financial planning and their annual budgeting work. And then long last, the breakthrough. I was hired to be the manager of I was a private marketing business unit manager, responsible for approximately 45 million gallons of private label paint per year. So here I am, I'm like, this linear career path of finance finally turned. It's now in marketing. We're exactly where we need to be. I was very elated, but of course that was very short-lived. If you know anything much about Sherwin-Williams, they tend to have very dramatic internal reorganizations every 4, 5, 6 years. About a year after I got my marketing job, they had one of those reorganizations, and I came out of it as director of new product development, which meant I was working with chemists in our laboratory, in our technology department, creating paints to satisfy new needs for our customers. So it was kind of marketing. I kind of tried to sell myself on that. It was kind of marketing. And it was interesting, and it benefited all the different brands, so it was pretty exciting. But this is where the career path takes another dramatic turn. Back in the early 90s, this is the time frame we're in now, if you remember, there were 3 TV channels and PBS. It's hard to believe now. This is before cable. That, seems like we've always had cable, but there was a time before cable, before Nickelodeon and ESPN and Discovery Channel and all those other TV programs. And if you wanted to see a how-to show, you had to go to PBS, and you basically had one show, and you probably can all name it, This Old House. And Bob Vila was the star of This Old House. He was the king of how-to, and in the commercial breaks, he did commercials for Sears Paint, and he was selling the heck out of Sears Paint. And I knew that for a fact because I was the brand manager in charge of Sears Paint, and I knew what good work he was doing. So Sherwin-Williams saw that. They saw what an influence he was, and impressively, they thought to themselves, why don't we find someone like that to do it for us? Why don't we have a home improvement show? I mean, it really made sense if you thought about it. So that great idea kind of trickled down, and next thing I know, I'm sitting in my boss's office as he tried to explain to me how a nationally broadcast television show was now considered to be a new product. Therefore, it was my job to develop it. So, it was not only my responsibility to produce the show, but I had to find a way to get it on the air nationally. Or in his words, and he actually said this, "You watch TV, how hard can it be?" So I can only imagine the look on my face at that moment. Did I know anything about producing a television show? Absolutely not. Did I know how to, but not knowing how to do something never really stopped me before. I'm kind of stubborn, but I am willing to ask questions, knock on doors. Some of those doors slammed in my face, but I kept going and I kept doing research and absolutely became the queen of the cold call to figure out my way through the process. But 6 months later, I had a pilot ready to go. But the timing couldn't have been more perfect. Literally, as we were finishing filming, a media company called Scripps Howard called Sherwin-Williams and said, "Hey, we have this idea. We're going to create a TV program called HGTV. And we need advertisers, and we'd like Sherwin-Williams to do commercials on our network." So before I knew it, I was in New York City. I was handing them a pilot saying, we'll talk to you about your commercials if you'll talk to us about airing our TV show. As you can imagine, we did a deal. And when HGTV went on the air for the very first day, the TV show I produced, Room by Room, was the second show to air, and it had featured Sherwin-Williams television commercials. So it was a marriage made in heaven. It was a great combination for the network and great combination for the company. So I transitioned out of new product development, became the executive director of the executive producer of the program. I produced 9 seasons that aired nationally on HGTV. And then Sherwin did another reorganization. At that point, Sherwin kind of lost interest in owning a television show, which was really sad because at that point we were just about there. The hosts were getting that, like they could walk into a store and people would run up to them and want autographs and whatever. We were starting to get the recognition, but Sherwin didn't want it anymore. They sold it to the network, which was based in Tennessee. So essentially I lost my job. Sherwin did offer me, I'm not going to slam them, they were great. They did offer me a job back in marketing. But at the time, my kids were little. I wanted to spend more time with them. So that's when I got the idea of opening my own company. So I created Whirlybird Productions. And I started doing local television commercials and that type of thing. I did commercials for companies like KeyBank, different organizations in town. And then I partnered with PBS 4549, WNEO, WEAO. And we started doing training videos for school systems. That led to doing documentaries. Some of those documentaries just aired locally. Some of those documentaries did get put up on the national PBS satellites, so PBS stations across the country could pull them down and use them whenever they needed them. We were very excited that one of our programs, it was about the creation of Veterans Day. It was called Act of Duty. Received a local Emmy nomination. And another one, we did a program on the National First Ladies Library in Canton that won the National Gracie Allen Award. And the Gracie Allen Award recognizes exemplary programming created by women, for women, and about women. So that's why the National First Ladies Library won that award. PBS then decided they wanted to do a weekly program featuring small business segments with a live panelist that would then discuss the segments that had aired. So I became the producer of that program. I would go out and film the individual segments. I'd edit them together. I would source the panelists, and I would put the program together on a weekly basis called Neotropolis, or Northeast Ohio Tropolis. It went really well. We did probably close to 2 years of that program. But as you know, PBS is dependent on viewers like you. And so they ran short of funding. And so, that's how things go at PBS. So it was time for me to head in another direction. But during during that time while I was at Whirlybird, that's when I got really heavily involved with my volunteerism in Akron community. I got started with the Junior League of Akron. I then found myself on the board and in leadership roles with the Women's Board of Children's Hospital, Summit County Historical Society, Ronald McDonald House Board, Old Trail School Board, among several other different organizations. I became quite the expert on fundraising, auctions, running large community events, and I used my marketing skills to help a lot of nonprofits build websites, do press releases, work on direct mail pieces and any other type of marketing brochures and whatnot that they needed. But that kind of work doesn't pay the mortgage, so I had to find something else. So this is where the career path takes another turn. I knew when I started looking for the job after Whirlybird that I wanted to, and I was only going to look in the nonprofit sector. I wanted a job where I knew the people I was helping. I didn't want a job that was helping somebody's stock price. I wanted to see and feel and touch the people I was helping. So I wanted to go into the nonprofit arena. That's when I joined as Director of Advancement at One of a Kind Pet Rescue. I ran all their marketing, their social media, their fundraising, their volunteer programs. It was absolutely, being an animal rescue, never on my radar. I never would have guessed I would have been in an animal shelter. But it was a perfect opportunity for me. I'm a pet lover, I have pets, was able to use my marketing skills. I love to do a lot of photography and writing. So it was really awesome to be able to put together pieces to help, special animals get special homes and everything. So it was a really good fit, and it was a really wonderful place for me to be for about 5 years. But that's when I started having some back issues, and I'll tell you, animal shelter work is hard work. It's hard labor. Even in marketing, you'd think the leaders, you would be somehow secluded from that, but you're not. There's a lot of lifting and carrying and hauling dog crates and dogs and animals and whatever, and it's a very, very physical job. And I was kind of like, nah, I can't do this anymore. So we need to get something a little more like a desk job. Still wanted to stay nonprofit, but this time around, I felt very, what I called sandwiched. I was applying for jobs, and everybody was saying, "You're awesome, you've got all this experience, you should be an executive director, you don't want this job." Then I'd go and I'd apply for those executive director jobs, and they'd say, "This is awesome, but you've never been an executive director, we can't hire you." So it's like, okay, so what am I going to do? I was getting very, very frustrated. It was very, things weren't looking good. And then I see this job opening at a church. And I was like, sometimes you get to that point where you're like, just apply for it. What the heck? Just anything goes at this point. Nothing else was panning out. So might as well just throw my resume into the ring. So of course, the interviews I really wanted to get, I didn't hear from. And the church called me back right away. Had me come in, did a couple of interviews, and I felt like I had found my home. This was just a perfect fit. I just knew this is the job for me, the place for me, everything about it was perfect. Until they didn't offer me the job. They offered it to somebody else. I was crushed. I was like, this is it, it's over. I don't know what to do. I don't know where else to apply. Everybody in the world's had my resume. It's not going anywhere. I just don't know what to do. My boyfriend talked me down off the ledge and said, give it some time, something will come around. And a week later, my phone rang, and I could tell from the caller ID it was the church calling. And I remember thinking to myself, are they calling to laugh at me? Haha, we didn't pick you? Why are they calling me? This doesn't make any sense. And they called me and said, we have this job. We haven't posted it yet, but you've got all the experience for it, and we really want you to come back in because we think this is the job for you. And I'm like, well, what is it? And they said, it's a finance and accounting job. And I was like, seriously? Like, this is, full circle here. We're starting back at the beginning. But I went back in. I really liked Nanette Pitt, the senior minister at First Congregational Church. I love their mission. They actively support the community. It's one of the things that I really love about this church. We have an active food pantry that serves every week. We never even closed during COVID. We stayed open. We pack food backpacks for the Mason school children. We do prayer blankets for cancer patients, and we're extremely active supporting the LGBTQ community, all things that I'm very passionate about. So I went back in, talked to them, and landed that finance job. But what I really love about it, not only is it the finance job, but it's also very operational. We have a 100-plus-year-old facility, 30,000 square foot facility. Have to do a lot of creative DIY, so all my room by room experience came into play. So like I said, so many of you probably, might have gone to college, gotten your accounting, engineering, medical, whatever degree, entered the workforce, and you might still be there as a career. But then I look back at my career, finance and accounting, marketing and sales, research and development, television, animal rescue, fundraising, religion, and then back to finance. And I kind of wonder how I got here and still feel successful. But I think my liberal arts training really helped me say yes at the critical moments in my life. Was I ever intimidated? Absolutely. But I am hard-headed enough to keep trying, to try to learn and create and figure out despite roadblocks and the occasional failure. But most of all, I think whether I was in my professional life or my volunteer capacity, I tried my best to communicate honest expectations with my team, be dependable, lead with confidence, show loyalty, good judgment, and respect to everybody I worked with. I think that's why the Summit County Historical Society awarded me with the 2022 Woman of the Year for Integrity Award this year, of which I'm very honored. And I also just recently received from Wittenberg University their Alumni Servant Leader Award. So I'm very honored to be able to share my story with you here today. Thank you very much for talking to me and having me up here to speak to you. If you have any questions or anything, I'd love to be able to talk to you afterwards. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me share my story.
Cool. Thank you. Note for you and a commemorative token for this 2022-23 Rotary year. So
wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. We appreciate it.
I have to do one more thing for us. Can you pick a winner for our daily lotto, weekly lotto? All right. Numbers 228-907. 907.
Uh-oh.
That is Cindy. Cindy.
All right.
Cindy, you're.
Congratulations to Cindy.
Hey, Art. So we're still good on the progressive pot. All right.
You give us your, hold on, I'll give it to her next week.
All right. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Dave. Janis, thank you so much. It was great. And just so you know, her cat's name is Banjo, so we didn't want to forget Banjo. So, and Janis, our Dr. Rob is it University of Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania State that he's an alumnus of? Dr. Rob.
I think it's Penn State.
Isn't it Penn State?
Is that what you say, the one with the football?
Yeah, anyway, so you'll have to come back again, so he would appreciate having another PA person in the room. Our next meeting is December 6th. It's critical for all of us to be here. Please bring another fellow Rotarian or two. We need to have at least 42 members, so we need to double what is in the room today. So we have bylaws that we have yet to approve. So please, please, please come. Anything else for the good of the cause? I know people have to get back to work, and it's been fabulous. And our meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great day.